The universe of wealth does not originate from the booming numbers in a bank account, nor from the bustling transactions on the stock exchange. It is born in a much quieter space, an invisible land that contains infinite creative power, the human mind. Before a skyscraper rises proudly into the sky, defying gravity and time, it is just a blueprint, a set of lines and calculations that exists only in the imagination of an architect. Likewise, every great fortune, every mighty business empire, every technological revolution that changes the world, all originate from a mental blueprint, a seed of an idea planted in the fertile soil of thought. The Wall Street legend, Mark Minervini, who turned a small capital into a huge fortune, summarized this truth profoundly. Before $1 million appear in my bank account, it must appear in my mind. This statement is not simply a statement of confidence, or a mantra of the law of attraction. It is a precise description of the physical and metaphysical order of wealth creation. It is an immutable law, a fundamental cause of wealth that most of humanity has inadvertently ignored or overlooked. Money, property, and prosperity are not things we seek or chase in the outside world. They are things we create from within, and manifest externally. Pause for a moment and look at the world around you. The magnificent bridge connecting two banks of a river did not spring up out of nowhere. The exquisite smartphone in the palm of your hand, with the ability to connect you to the entire knowledge of humanity, is not a product of nature. The giant e-commerce platform where you can buy anything with just a few clicks is not a coincidence. All of them, without exception, are the brain children conceived in the minds of individuals or groups. They are living proof that the material world we live in is actually just a mirror of our inner world. An idea, when it first arises, is just a fragile wave of energy, a glimmer of light in the darkness of the subconscious. But when it is grasped, wrapped in a strong belief, watered daily with relentless focus, protected from storms of doubt with an iron discipline, and finally, fueled by decisive and persistent actions, that fragile wave of energy will gradually crystallize, condense, and turn into a tangible asset. This process is like an alchemy of the mind, transforming invisible thoughts into pure physical gold. So, the big question arises. If this process is a universal law, why are the vast majority of us still struggling in a never-ending financial battle? Why does the door to prosperity seem to be open only to a few? It is not a lack of intelligence, not a lack of opportunity, and certainly not a lack of effort. Many intelligent, hard-working people live in poverty all their lives. The biggest barrier, the invisible enemy that blocks the flow of wealth to us, is the mental operating system we have installed in our minds about money. We are running our financial lives on a faulty platform, an operating system infected with the poverty virus. These viruses are the misconceptions, the limiting beliefs that have been ingrained in our subconscious for generations. Money is evil, the root of all evil. This belief creates an internal conflict. On the one hand, we need money to live. On the other hand, we unconsciously repel it because we think it will corrupt us. Rich people are greedy and selfish. When we believe this, We will never dare to become rich because we are afraid of being judged by society and afraid of becoming the person we despise. Making money is an arduous struggle, paid with sweat and tears. This mindset turns the journey to wealth into a burden instead of a creative game, causing us to quickly become exhausted and give up. Success and wealth are due to luck, due to fate. This is a belief that strips us of all power, turning us into passive victims of circumstances instead of active architects of destiny. These toxic beliefs are more than just thoughts. They are energy walls, invisible dams that block the river of prosperity that wants to flow into your life. Rich people do not simply have more money. First of all, they are people who possess a completely different thinking operating system. They have removed the poverty virus and installed a prosperity software. In their worldview, money is not an end goal to be hoarded, but a circulating energy to create and serve. They see it as a powerful tool, a means to turn great ideas into reality, to solve big social problems, and to create value for the community. They do not pursue money, they pursue value, and money automatically pursues them as a natural consequence. They do not just dream of wealth, they live in a state of wealth in their minds, long before it manifests on the outside. And something magical happens. When their minds are filled with images of abundance, fullness, and endless opportunity, an energy void is created. The universe hates a void. It automatically directs resources, people, and opportunities in the physical world to fill that void. Money and wealth will gradually come, not magically, but as a natural response to the law of like attracts like. This book is not a collection of theories or far-fetched inspirational stories. It is a detailed map, a practical toolkit designed to help you perform a major surgery on your mind. It will guide you step by step through removing your old mental operating system, installing a new prosperity software, and starting the process of creating wealth from the most powerful place, inside you. When you change your mindset, when you replace limiting beliefs with empowering beliefs, when you change the way you talk to yourself, you automatically change your actions. You start to see opportunities where there were only obstacles. You start to take calculated risks that you previously avoided. You start to attract quality relationships that you never thought you deserved. And when your actions change, your results are bound to change. This is not a vague philosophy, it is the science of success, a law that works precisely in every area of your life. Imagine that right now, you are trapped in an invisible prison of limited income, mounting debt, or constant financial hardship. But if, from today, you start to plant in your mind an absolute belief that you were born to be rich, that you possess the full potential to create a rich and meaningful life, and you start to think, feel, and act like a truly rich person, then one day soon, you will see the iron bars of that prison automatically disappear. The numbers that were once just a luxury dream will become a reality in your account. This is the path that every billionaire, every outstanding leader, every genius artist has gone through. And you can too. This journey does not require you to have capital, degrees, or powerful relationships. It only requires one thing: the willingness to change from within. Let's embark on this magical journey together. Each chapter of this book will be a solid ladder, taking you from the world of ideas to reality, from theory to practice, from thinking to owning. Because before you become a millionaire in reality, you must learn to become a millionaire in your mind. If there is one core secret that every self-made billionaire in the world shares, it is this truth. Every great success, every massive fortune, every life's work begins with the most seemingly invisible and fragile entity, an idea. An idea is the original currency of the universe, a form of potential energy that can be transformed into all forms of material wealth. An idea is a seed. A seed by itself is worthless. It is small, insignificant, and easily overlooked. But inside that humble shell is an infinite potential, the potential of a huge old tree, spreading its branches and leaves, blossoming, and bearing sweet fruit. Similarly, an idea may initially be just a fleeting thought, a flash of light in the mind. But when that seed of an idea is planted in the soil of the mind, carefully fertilized with unwavering faith, watered with persistent action, and protected from the pests of doubt and fear, it will germinate, grow, and eventually bear fruit. Sometimes that fruit is a life of financial well-being. Sometimes it is a spiritual legacy to be left to posterity. And sometimes it is both. Let's turn the pages of human history. What do we see? History is not written by those who work the hardest, but by those who have the most groundbreaking ideas. Thomas Edison did not invent the dark. He had an idea of lighting up the night with a filament that glowed in a vacuum. That idea lit up the world, and created a huge industrial empire. Henry Ford did not invent the wheel. He had an idea of mass-producing cheap cars on an assembly line, turning this luxury into a means of transportation for every family. That idea reshaped the entire economy and society of the 20th century. Steve Jobs did not invent the telephone or the computer. He had an idea of combining technology, art, and simplicity to create compact, intuitive devices that could completely change the way the world communicates, works, and entertains. These ideas, at the time they were born, were considered crazy, fanciful and impossible. But their fathers saw something the world had not seen. They protected their fragile seeds from the storms of criticism, and it was that unwavering faith that opened up entirely new doors for humanity, and at the same time brought them huge fortunes as a worthy reward. From this, we can draw a basic law. Ideas are money in their potential, most primitive form. This is a truth that most people miss. They are stuck in a vicious cycle of poverty thinking. I need money to implement my idea. They wait for enough capital, enough resources, enough guarantees before they dare to start. But the reality is completely the opposite. Only truly valuable ideas have the ability to attract money and resources. Money does not create great ideas create money. You cannot hold $1 million in your hands if you have never imagined, never believed in your mind, that you could create $1 million worth of value. The image of wealth, the blueprint for achieving it, and the absolute belief in your own ability must be clearly created in your mind first. Then the physical world will begin to rearrange itself to reflect that pattern. Many people blindly crave money. They chase after numbers, symbols of wealth, but they never achieve it. Why? Because they are chasing shadows and ignoring the object. Meanwhile, those who focus all their mind, time, and energy on nurturing a powerful idea, a valuable mission, a breakthrough solution to a social problem, find money automatically coming to them as a gift, a natural byproduct. The reason is simple. Money is just a tool of exchange. It is a measure of the value you create and contribute to the world. If you only chase after money, money will run away from you, because your nature is to demand rather than to contribute. But if you focus on creating value, solving problems, and serving others with your unique ideas, you will become a magnet for money. Money will automatically flow to you like a river to the sea. Ideas do not have to be great inventions that change the world. Sometimes, prosperity comes from simple questions, subtle observations in everyday life. How can I make this job easier and more efficient? How can I solve this frustration for millions of people? This product is great, but how can I make it 10 times better? An average person sees a rainstorm and complains about the terrible weather. A person with a rich mindset sees the same rainstorm, but comes up with an idea. Can I create a weather forecast app that is more accurate? Can I design a smart umbrella that never flips over in the wind? Ideas are everywhere. They float in the air like gold dust, waiting for a mind bright enough, sharp enough to recognize and grasp them. The problem is not a scarcity of ideas, but a scarcity of people who can see them and believe in them. When Mark Minervini started his investing career, he didn't have millions of dollars. All he had was a strong, clear idea in his head. He believed that if he researched companies deeply, analyzed charts carefully, and followed a strict set of trading rules that he had set for himself, he would beat the stock market. That idea guided his every action. Repeated action became habit. Habits produced consistent results. And the accumulation of those small results over time created a huge fortune. So, you can start your journey to wealth today, even if you don't have a penny in your pocket. Start by asking yourself these 9 questions. 1. What idea is lying dormant in your mind that you're not daring to wake up? 2. It could be a small business project, an innovative product, a different way of serving customers, or even just a new perspective on your industry. 3. Never underestimate its value, no matter how simple or crazy it seems. 4. The world has been paying billions of dollars for seemingly ordinary ideas. 5. Train your mind to be an idea hunting machine. 6. Write it down. Write it all down, no matter how small, silly, or seemingly impossible. 7. Create an idea bank and deposit it every day. 8. Because in the hundreds of seemingly silly ideas, there may be one diamond idea, one that will shine brightly and change your life forever. 9. The right idea, at the right time and executed with vigor, can bring you more wealth than a lifetime of hard work. This is why the richest people in the world are often not the ones who work the hardest, but the ones who spend the most time thinking differently, thinking deeply, and believing in their ideas the most passionately. So if you want to be rich, stop chasing money. Instead, start by investing in your most valuable asset, your ability to generate ideas. Read books to feed your mind. Talk to smart people to broaden your horizons. Look around the world with a curious eye for opportunities. And most importantly, believe that your idea is worth pursuing. Remember, money always comes later. Ideas always come first. Before you have capital, before you have quality relationships, before even the smallest opportunity appears, there is one thing you must possess first. It is not a perfect business plan, nor a prestigious degree. It is an intangible asset that is the foundation for all other tangible assets. It is faith. If ideas are the blueprints for a prosperous castle, then faith is the energy to start and build that castle. No matter how detailed and great a blueprint is, it will forever remain on paper without the energy to turn those lines into bricks, cement, and steel. Faith is not vague optimism or passive hope. Hope is sitting in the desert waiting for rain. Faith is starting to dig a well with the certainty that water is underneath. It is an active force, an inner drive, a state of absolute certainty in an unmanifested reality. The most important question you must ask yourself is, if I don't believe in myself, in my ideas, in my mission, how can I convince others to believe in me, invest in me, or take a chance on me? Faith is the currency of influence. Before an investor invests in your company, they are not just buying shares, they are buying your faith. Before a customer buys your product, they are buying your faith in the value it delivers. Trust is the most democratic asset in the world. No matter what circumstances you were born into, where you live, what your family background is, or how much money you have in your wallet, you have the power to choose and build your own beliefs. A person can start from scratch, with nothing but a piece of paper. But if they have a strong belief that they can write a new chapter in their life, then that blank piece of paper will become the starting point for a great journey. This is the fundamental difference between successful people and failures. Successful people believe first, then act on that belief, and the results will come as a natural consequence. They do not wait for money to believe that they can get rich. They believe first, and that belief guides the actions that create money. Losers wait for proof, certainty, and assurance before they dare to believe and act. But in the world of business and life, absolute certainty never exists. So they never really start. Faith acts like an inner fire. If that fire is big enough, it will warm your will, burn all procrastination, and light every step in the dark night of uncertainty. If that fire is too small and weak, it will be easily extinguished by the winds of criticism, the rains of failure, and the storms of doubt from those around. That's why the most successful people don't spend most of their time making money. They spend most of their time building and protecting the flame of their faith. Look at Jeff Bezos. Before Amazon became a global empire, he was just a man with an idea to sell books online in a small garage. The whole world, including top financial experts, doubted it. They called it a crazy idea. But Bezos had an unshakable belief in the future of e-commerce, a belief built on deep analysis and timeless vision. It was that belief that drove him to leave a high-paying dream job on Wall Street to start from scratch. If Bezos didn't have that belief, Amazon would never have existed. True faith is not blind. It is nurtured by knowledge, reinforced by experience, and sharpened by seeing a path that others have not seen. Others may call you a dreamer, but if you see what they don't see, it's not an illusion. It's a vision. And only when you believe in that vision will you have the courage to walk the lonely path of the pioneer. Meanwhile, poor people are imprisoned by the opposite beliefs, limiting beliefs that act like invisible chains. They believe that being born poor is their destiny. They believe that making money is extremely difficult and only for those with special talents. They believe that wealth belongs to the lucky few or the dishonest. These beliefs create a self-fulfilling reality. Even when a golden opportunity appears right before their eyes, they dare not reach out to grab it, because deep in their subconscious, they have judged themselves. I can't do it. I don't deserve it. If you want to change your financial destiny, the first and most important thing is to carry out a revolution of belief. You must have the courage to break those chains. Never believe the words that money is not for you. Never accept that you can only live a life of subsistence. Instead, create a new belief system, a prosperity operating system. I deserve prosperity and abundance. I have the ability to create great value and money is the reward for that value. The universe is always full and full of opportunity for me. When you repeat these things over and over again, and truly believe them, your subconscious will start to find ways to prove that belief true. Belief is also the armor that protects you from the arrows of difficulty and adversity. When every door seems to be closing in on you, when failure after failure comes, when you lose all your money, only faith is what keeps you going. One person gives up because they think they can't do it anymore. A successful person keeps getting up and trying again because they believe that failure is just a stepping stone, a valuable lesson on the road to success. It is this small difference in belief system that determines the completely different outcome. Many people mistakenly believe that money creates confidence, but in fact it is the opposite. It is belief that creates money. When you have belief, you dare to stand up and present your idea. You dare to knock on doors and look for opportunities. You dare to reach out and build relationships. All of these decisive actions stem from belief. With belief, you will take action. With action, you will create results. Gradually, small results will accumulate into a large fortune. To practice and strengthen belief, start with small victories. Don't set a goal that is too big at the beginning. Set a small financial goal that you believe you can achieve. Work and conquer it. And when you achieve it, use that result as proof to strengthen the belief that you can do more. Confidence does not come naturally. It is built brick by brick through actual action and results. Every time you overcome a challenge, every time you conquer yourself, the flame of belief inside you will burn stronger. And remember to protect your belief as you protect your most precious asset. Don't let the negative words of others shake you. Don't let the doubts of the crowd make you falter. This world is always full of skeptics, but history has proven that they are rarely the ones who create great things. The most successful people are often the ones who are laughed at the most, because they dare to believe in things that the majority consider impossible. Money can be lost. Opportunities can be missed. But as long as you keep your faith, you can always start over and rebuild everything even greater than before. On the contrary, if you lose faith, even if you have a mountain of money in your hands, you cannot keep it for long. When you start your journey to wealth creation, consider trust as your first and most important capital. It doesn't need to be deposited in a bank. No one can steal it. And the more you use it, the stronger it becomes. Wealth is not just about the amount of money you have in your account, but also about your ability to absorb and retain that wealth. Many people live their whole lives in poverty, not because they don't have the ability to make money, but because deep down inside, they don't allow themselves to become rich. In their minds, there is a financial self-destruct mechanism, a sense of guilt, an unconscious belief that wealth is not for them. When a big opportunity or an unexpected amount of money comes, this mechanism will be activated, causing them to unconsciously make bad decisions to push that prosperity away, returning to the safe zone of familiar poverty. Allowing yourself to be wealthy doesn't mean being greedy or boastful. It's about turning your internal financial thermostat to a higher level. It's a state of mind that is open to accepting abundance as a natural, deserved part of life, just like breathing air. Poor people often look at wealth with suspicion and judgment. They think, the rich must be doing something wrong, money corrupts people. This toxic belief builds an invisible wall that prevents them from stepping through the door of prosperity. Because if your subconscious mind believes wealth is bad, it will do everything it can to protect you from that bad. It will make you avoid opportunities, self-sabotage business relationships, and keep you safe in the cocoon of poverty. Every journey to success begins with an individual making a conscious decision. I allow myself to be rich. I deserve it. Truly wealthy people don't view money as taboo or sinful. They see it as a natural consequence, a measure of the value they create for society. They don't feel guilty about making a lot of money, because they understand that money reflects their ability, dedication, and responsibility. A salesperson who believes that their product truly solves a problem for their customers will confidently sell it at a fair price. An entrepreneur who believes that their company is creating jobs and benefiting the community will not hesitate to set a goal of making millions of dollars. And an individual who believes that they deserve to enjoy a prosperous life will start to think and act like a wealthy person, making wise financial decisions to get closer to that goal. There is a big mental barrier that prevents many people from allowing themselves to be wealthy, and that is the fixed pie mindset. They believe that the wealth in this world is a limited resource, like a pie that has been divided up. If someone gets rich, it means they have taken a bigger piece of the pie, and inevitably someone else will be poorer. This way of thinking turns the economy into a war of attrition, a zero-sum game, instead of an environment of cooperation and mutual growth. The reality is quite the opposite. Wealth and money are not finite resources, they are constantly being created. Wealth is not a fixed pie to be fought over, but a vast ocean for those who know how to create their own boat. When an entrepreneur creates a new product, they are not taking away wealth from others, they are creating a completely new value, a new pie for the whole society. Observe how two people view the same amount of money. With $10,000, the person with a poverty mindset sees it as a limit, as the amount to spend for the rest of the month. The person with a wealth mindset sees it as starting capital, as a seed that can be planted to create a garden. The difference is not in the amount of money they have, but in how they view the possibility of multiplying that money. Another key to allowing wealth to flow into your life is practicing gratitude. Gratitude is the master key that opens the door to abundance. It acts as a magnet that attracts more of what you appreciate. When you look at the small amount of money in your wallet and feel grateful for it, you are sending a powerful message to the universe that says, I am ready and excited to receive more. On the other hand, when you constantly whine and complain about not having enough money, you are affirming and reinforcing your state of lack. Your subconscious mind will take command and continue to perpetuate that lack in your life. Allowing yourself to be rich also means daring to live by higher standards and set bigger goals. Many people set modest financial goals for themselves because they are afraid of failure and judgment. They settle for small dreams, believing that they are safe. But the cruel truth is, refusing to dream big is the reason their lives are forever small. When you dare to set a big goal and believe that you can achieve it, your subconscious will force you to think and act at a completely new level to match that goal. Remember, wealth is allowed from within before it manifests on the outside. If you constantly tell yourself, I can't, I don't deserve it, I just need enough to get by, you are building a prison and locking yourself in it. But if, starting today, you start a new internal dialogue, I can, I deserve it, I am ready to receive all the prosperity that life has to offer, you are opening the door to that prison. From this thinking, your actions will change. From your actions will change, opportunities will appear. And from opportunities will appear, money will automatically find its way to you. Mark Minervini once shared that he never thought of himself as just a small trader. Even when he had nothing, in his mind he always envisioned himself as a champion, a big player in the market. That permission and recognition motivated him to act with the discipline and vision of a master, and eventually, the outside world had to recognize him for who he had long believed he was. Start now. Look yourself in the mirror and say to yourself, with all sincerity and determination, I deserve wealth. I am ready to receive prosperity. I will use it to create more value for myself and for the world. When you repeat this often enough, with enough emotion, your subconscious mind will accept it as a command. And from there, every decision, every action you take will be directed to make that command a reality. Wealth does not come to those who only dream. It comes to those who allow it, receive it, and act as if it were already theirs. All paths to wealth begin in the mind. And our minds are shaped, programmed, and controlled by the two most powerful tools nature has given us, our inner language, and our mental imagery. What you continually say and see in your inner world becomes the blueprint that the outside world must follow to build your reality. If the inside of your mind is a construction site filled with criticism, poor images, and outdated blueprints, then no matter how hard you work on the outside world, you will only be able to build a makeshift hut. On the other hand, if you are a master inner architect, using language and imagery to create a clear and detailed blueprint of prosperity, then sooner or later, your castle will be realized. Imagine your brain as the most powerful supercomputer in the universe. And your inner language is the programming code you are running on that supercomputer every day. Every word you say to yourself, consciously or unconsciously, is a command sent directly to your subconscious. Your subconscious is a faithful servant but has no judgment. It does not distinguish between what is true and what is false, what you want and what you do not want. It simply receives orders and executes them. If you constantly run the code, I am not good enough, I will never have enough money, life is too hard, your subconscious will receive the command and control your actions to reinforce that belief. You will unconsciously miss opportunities, make bad financial decisions, or act timidly, as if you are truly powerless. Conversely, if you proactively remove that malicious code and install a new software with positive commands, I am a money magnet, I am getting richer and wiser every day, I have the ability to create value and solve problems, the subconscious will be activated to look for evidence and opportunities to turn these commands into reality. The brain is not a reality recording machine. It is a reality creation machine based on what you believe. The language you use does not just describe your life, it is creating your life. Eliminate the poverty keyword from your dictionary immediately. Instead of saying, I can't afford this, ask a creative question. How can I own it? The first statement is a door that slams. The second question is an open door, forcing your brain to think, create, and find solutions. People do not act based on logic, but on images and the emotions those images create. You can't move forward into a future you can't envision. If your mental picture of yourself is one of being small, struggling, always lacking, then your life will play out exactly as that scenario. But if you dare to paint a completely new picture, one where you live in abundance, financial freedom, walking with the confidence of a successful person, then your actions and choices will begin to change to match that image. This isn't an illusion, this is the science of the mind. The brain doesn't differentiate clearly between an experience you actually have, and an experience you vividly imagine. When you repeatedly visualize yourself achieving success, your brain registers it as a memory, a real experience. It creates new neural pathways, triggers positive emotions, and motivates you to take action to make that image a reality. This is the same mental rehearsal technique that world-class athletes and top CEOs use. They visualize themselves winning thousands of times in their minds before they step onto the field. This is especially true in the financial world. If you want to be rich, spend time every day visualizing in detail, vividly, the rich life you desire. Imagine the feeling when you log into your bank account and see the numbers you want. Feel the freedom of being able to buy a valuable gift for a loved one without looking at the price tag. Listen to the sounds of success, the sound of a successful transaction, the congratulations from a partner. Smell the smell of prosperity, the smell of a new car, the fragrance in a house that you bought with your own efforts. When you hold these images in your mind clearly enough, often enough, and with enough emotion, your subconscious mind acts as a GPS system. It automatically guides you down the shortest and most efficient path, bringing you to the attention of the opportunities and resources needed to turn that image into reality. Mark Minervini always considered himself a champion trader, even before he achieved that title. In his mind, the image of a successful, disciplined, and sharp trader was clearly formed from the very beginning. It was this image that drove him to study constantly, adhere to iron principles, and overcome periods of loss. And then one day, the outside world had to see him exactly as he had persistently believed. Start observing yourself today. What are you telling yourself? What movie are you playing in your mind about the future? The answers to these questions are the map that guides your life. If you want to change your destination, you must first change the map. If ideas are seeds, and beliefs are sunshine, then mental discipline is the diligent gardener who waters, weeds, and protects your prosperous plant from pests every day. You can have the best idea in the world, and the strongest belief, but without the discipline to act consistently, it will all be just a dream. Money may come and go. Opportunities may appear and disappear. But mental discipline, once cultivated, becomes a lasting asset, an inner strength that will follow you for the rest of your life. The biggest difference between successful people and unsuccessful people is not intelligence or luck. The key difference is that successful people do what needs to be done, even when they don't want to, while others give in to their emotions. They know how to say no to immediate temptations and say yes to long-term goals. They stick to their rules even when no one is watching. In the financial realm, mental discipline is the thin line that separates rich from poor. A person can earn a lot of money, but if they lack discipline in spending, they will quickly return to the starting point, even more in debt than before. On the contrary, a person with an average income but who adheres to the discipline of saving, investing regularly and spending according to a plan will sooner or later achieve financial freedom. Mark Minervini has asserted that in financial trading, discipline is more important than knowledge. In fact, anyone can learn knowledge from books, but discipline requires self-control, will and absolute adherence to the established principles. A trader can know the trading strategy well, but if they lack discipline, they will break the principles at times when they are overwhelmed by emotions, and that is when they lose money. Mental discipline is not punishment or forcing oneself. On the contrary, it is the highest form of freedom. People without discipline are slaves to emotions, to impulses, to debt and financial pressure. Disciplined people are those who actively choose their lives. They master their time, their emotions, their money, and enjoy the true freedom that comes from conquering goals. Look at our daily lives. You decide to save, but you let your emotions drag you down and burn money on an unnecessary discounted item. You set a goal to read a financial book, but let social media take up all your time. You promise yourself to start investing, but when the market fluctuates a little, you panic and sell. All of this is not because you lack knowledge, but because you lack mental discipline. Mental discipline is not an inborn talent. It is like a muscle. The more you practice it, the stronger it becomes. Start practicing from the smallest things. 1. Discipline to wake up early. Start your day proactively instead of reactively. 2. Discipline to record your expenses. Be aware of where your money is going. 3. Discipline to pay yourself first. Automatically set aside a fixed amount to save and invest as soon as you receive your paycheck, before spending on anything else. 4. Discipline to learn. Spend 30 minutes a day reading a book, listening to a podcast, or learning a new financial skill. Each of these small acts of discipline will accumulate and create a huge willpower, helping you face bigger challenges on the road to wealth. Rich people understand that self-control is the only way to control money. They practice discipline like forging a sword, sharpening it every day until it is sharp enough to cut through all procrastination, fear, and temptation. Remember, money can make you rich for a while, but only mental discipline can keep you rich for a lifetime. He who masters himself will master money. He who masters money will master the future. The final and perhaps biggest difference between the rich and the poor is not the initial capital, but the glasses they wear to see the world. Given the same event, the same situation, the poor see risks. The rich see opportunities. The poor see difficulties. The rich see lessons. The poor see walls. The rich see hidden doors. Opportunities are not something you stumble upon. They are something you see through a trained lens. Rich people possess an alchemy of vision, the ability to turn problems, complaints, and obstacles that seem trivial to others into pure gold. The world is full of problems, and most people are problem spotters. They complain about traffic congestion, about bad customer service, about the difficulty of finding a healthy and convenient meal. They stop at complaining. People with a rich mindset hear those complaints too, but their brains process the information differently. Each complaint is a signal, an arrow pointing to an unmet need in the market. Traffic congestion creates opportunities for car sharing, public bicycles, or smart delivery services. Bad customer service creates an opportunity to build a customer-centric company and dominate the market. Healthy meals are hard to find, creates an opportunity for healthy restaurant chains, office catering services, or convenient packaged food products. Problems are untapped gold mines. Money is simply a reward for solving problems for others. The bigger the problem, the more people you solve it for, the greater the reward. So instead of avoiding problems, train yourself to be a problem hunter. Listen to what others are complaining about. Observe the inconveniences in your own life. Every annoyance, every frustration is a seed for a potential business idea. Opportunities often don't appear in a glamorous way. They are often disguised as work, trouble, and chaos. The 2008 financial crisis was a disaster for millions, but for disciplined, visionary investors like Warren Buffett, it was a once-in-a-lifetime buying opportunity. While others were panic selling valuable assets at rock-bottom prices, they calmly bought, because their glasses allowed them to see long-term value where others saw only immediate fear. To practice this alchemy, start a simple habit. Keep an opportunity journal. Every day, write down a problem or complaint you encounter or hear. Right below, brainstorm at least 3 solutions or business ideas that could solve that problem. Don't worry about their feasibility. The purpose of this exercise is not to create a perfect business plan, but to exercise your opportunity-seeing muscle. Gradually, your brain will automatically switch from seeing problems mode to seeing solutions mode. The journey to true wealth is not a race for limited resources in the outside world. It is a silent revolution that takes place inside each of us. It begins with an idea, the seed of all wealth. That seed is nurtured by an unshakable belief, planted in the soil of worthiness, where you allow yourself to prosper. You water it daily with positive words and images, protect it with an iron discipline. Chapter 6. And finally, you learn to recognize the most fertile places to plant with the alchemy of vision. The outer material world is only a faithful mirror of your inner world. You cannot change the image in the mirror without changing the object in front of it. If you want to change the balance in your bank account, first change the balance of prosperity thoughts, beliefs, and habits in your mind. Wealth is not a destination, it is a way of life. And that way of life begins today, with your decision to become the architect of your own destiny.